Welcome back. Today we're diving headfirst into one of the most polarizing debates in real estate investing, the backyard swimming pool. For many of us, the swimming pool conjures up images of sun-drenched summers, cocktail parties, and happy children splashing away. It's the quintessential symbol of the Australian dream or the North American luxury home. But when you switch that mental picture from lifestyle choice to investment asset, the view gets murky fast. I recently had a conversation with a client who was facing this exact dilemma. They were looking at securing a high-value rental property and asked me directly, should I buy an investment property with a pool? The knee-jerk answer, the mantra whispered in many real estate circles, is often a resounding, absolutely not. Avoid pools and investment properties at all costs. But is that sweeping generalization truly valid? Does that blanket advice hold up when we apply rigorous investment analysis? That's what we are here to dissect today. We need to move beyond simple emotional preference and look at the cold, hard data of return on investment, ROI, cash flow, tenant attraction, and capital growth. The core thesis, a double-edged blade. Before we get bogged down in maintenance costs and safety regulations, let me give you the essential conclusion right away, the thesis that will guide our entire discussion. A swimming pool is not inherently a permanent asset or a permanent liability. Its true function is to amplify the existing characteristics of the property. Think of the pool as a powerful magnifying lens. If you invest in a truly exceptional property, a well-located, high-quality structure in an aspirational area, the pool acts as a booster, making that already good house significantly more valuable. However, if you put a pool on a mediocre house, in a stagnant location, or in a high-density area, it simply makes that bad house even less desirable and potentially more costly to hold. In short, the swimming pool is a double-edged sword. To wield this sword successfully, we need to understand both edges, the hidden financial pitfalls and the powerful strategic advantages. Segment 1. Navigating the shallow end. The drawbacks and liabilities of pool ownership. When investors dismiss the pool, they usually point to 6 major drawbacks that eat away at profitability and increase administrative headaches. Let's explore these common complaints, which many investors rightly deem too bothersome. 1. The financial drain, high and persistent maintenance costs. The number one concern voiced by almost every investment professional regarding pools is the associated maintenance cost. Unlike a standard empty lawn, which requires only basic landscaping, a pool is a complex ecosystem of machinery and chemicals. You're dealing with mechanical equipment, filters, pumps, and motors, all of which require regular servicing and eventual replacement. Furthermore, keeping the water chemistry balanced and the structure clean demands ongoing expenses. These costs aren't trivial. For a typical property, the existence of a pool can necessitate an extra budget of hundreds or even thousands of dollars annually just for upkeep and maintenance. This is an immediate and constant drag on your operating margin. 2. Operational costs and tenant resistance. Beyond maintenance, pools demand operational inputs, specifically utilities. Water evaporates, and if you have a heated pool, the energy consumption of the motors and heating elements adds up. While it is standard practice for investment properties to have the tenant bear these utility costs, this requirement itself can deter potential renters. Why? A prospective tenant might look at the extra monthly expense required to keep the pump running or to heat the water and think, if I only use this pool for 2 months a year, am I really willing to increase my monthly rent expenditure just to cover the cost of something I rarely use? If a pool makes a tenant feel like they are paying for a luxury amenity that they don't value or utilize, they may naturally filter themselves out and choose a competing property without the pool. 3. Limited seasonal utility, the long winter slump. This drawback ties directly into tenant resistance. Unless you live in a tropical climate where year-round swimming is feasible, the usability of a pool is often severely restricted. In temperate zones, a pool might only be enjoyable for 1 or 2 warm months per year. For the remaining 10 months, that expensive, high-maintenance fixture sits there, requiring upkeep but providing zero utility. This seasonal restriction means that the perceived value of the pool by the tenant shrinks dramatically compared to the constant cost it incurs, making a liability in regions with pronounced seasons. You must be extremely cautious when buying a property with a pool in areas with variable weather patterns. 4. The safety and liability burden, walking on thin ice. A pool introduces a critical element of risk that a landlord must manage: safety hazards. Specifically, there is the undeniable risk of drowning, particularly concerning small children. This risk means that the property owner is burdened with increased legal responsibility. To mitigate this, periodic safety inspections are mandatory. The pool enclosures, fencing, and gates must adhere strictly to local safety standards. These required safety checks introduce further costs, often another few $100s every few years, adding to the non-negotiable costs of ownership. This liability can be a massive turnoff for investors focused purely on passive income streams. 5. The removal landmine, cost for the future. What happens if the pool proves to be a long-term drain, and you or a future buyer decide the backyard space will be better utilized as a flat yard or garden? Removing a pool is not like removing an old swing set. It is a massive, multi-step process involving draining, breaking up concrete or fiberglass, filling the massive hole, and stabilizing the soil. The costs associated with removing a swimming pool can be significant, often running into the thousands of dollars. This potential future expenditure must be factored into your initial purchase decision. The only time removal becomes relatively cheap is if you are already doing a full demolition of the house. Then, large machinery can tackle the pool simultaneously. Otherwise, the independent removal cost is a potential financial landmine. 6. The filter effect, screening out potential renters. Finally, and perhaps most subtly, a pool acts as a screening mechanism that reduces your total accessible rental market. While some people love pools, perhaps those who grew up near the water or who consider swimming a part of their daily routine, others actively dislike them. They may be put off by the maintenance, the utility bills, or the safety risk. By owning a property with a pool, you are effectively self-selecting a smaller subset of the tenant population who are both willing and able to handle the pool's demands. This might mean you have fewer applications to choose from when vacancy strikes. Segment 2. Diving deep, the strategic advantages and financial upsides of the pool. Given all those daunting drawbacks, why would any savvy investor touch a property with a pool? The answer lies in the strategic advantages that, when executed correctly, can turn a potential liability into a substantial profit generator. We must recognize that the pool is not merely an expense. It is a premium amenity that offers 6 powerful financial and tenancy benefits. 1. The tax shield, depreciation, and write-offs. One of the often overlooked financial advantages of pool ownership lies in taxation. The sophisticated equipment that keeps the pool running, the pumps, filters, and ancillary systems, can be included as part of your overall depreciation schedule. When you acquire an investment property, you typically get a depreciation report. This report will reflect the depreciable portion of the pool's assets. For high-income investors seeking to offset tax obligations, these extra deductible costs can provide a beneficial increase in annual tax returns. A critical caveat here: investment decisions should never be driven solely by tax deductions. The primary focus must remain on the property's potential for capital appreciation and rental yield. However, if the investment makes sense otherwise, the tax benefit is definitely the cherry on top. 2. Operational cost mitigation, the tenant pays principle. While operational costs exist, utilities, water, electricity, the burden on the landlord is minimized because the tenant usually covers these expenses. Furthermore, modern installations that include water-saving devices or solar heating for the pool can significantly ease the tenant's financial burden, making the pool much more palatable to them. For the landlord, the costs that are borne, such as scheduled maintenance or repairs, are classified as investment expenditures and are therefore tax-deductible against the investment income. The operational costs, therefore, are less impactful than they first appear. 3. Aesthetic enhancement and curb appeal. When a pool is thoughtfully designed and complements the architectural style and flow of the house, it transforms the entire property. It elevates the aesthetic appeal, adds a sense of luxury, and makes the property stand out in the listing market. This visual appeal naturally attracts a higher caliber of potential renters and, crucially, future potential buyers. A well-integrated pool is a clear sign of quality and high-end living. 4. The rental premium, commanding higher yields. This is perhaps the most immediate and tangible benefit of a correctly placed pool. In certain highly desirable areas, specifically lifestyle districts or luxury suburbs, a pool is not just an optional extra. It is a highly prized and expected amenity. The sources provide a powerful case study. A property purchased in a high-demand Gold Coast area was expected to fetch around $1,200 per week in rent. However, due to its stunning design, the overall quality of the house, and the appeal of its swimming pool, the property secured a rental rate exceeding $1,600 per week. This significant rental premium is the engine that can power the pool's financial viability. The extra income generated by the premium rent can often fully cover all the additional maintenance and holding costs incurred by the pool, and sometimes even surpass them, delivering a higher net yield. Never underestimate the willingness of affluent tenants to pay for premium amenities. 5. Enhanced tenant stickiness and reduced vacancy. If the pool attracts the right type of tenant, one who specifically values and uses the amenity, you gain a massive, invisible financial benefit: tenant stickiness. When a tenant genuinely loves a feature of your property, they're far less likely to move. They won't just stay for the standard 6 or 12 months. They might settle in for the long haul. The pool is particularly effective at attracting families with school-age children. Once these families establish roots in a school district, they commit to the area for many years, often until the children finish high school. We've seen examples where tenants, attracted by the long-term lifestyle promise of the pool and location, stay put for 4 or 5 years, or even longer. While the rent naturally increases with the market, these long-term tenants are generally happy to stay. The financial implication is profound. By significantly reducing tenant turnover and maximizing occupancy, you drastically lower your vacancy rates and eliminate the substantial costs associated with reletting, cleaning, marketing, and agent fees. This reduced turnover represents a massive, hidden saving that greatly enhances overall ROI. 6. The capital appreciation multiplier, designing for luxury. The final, and perhaps most crucial, advantage is the pool's role in accelerating capital appreciation. In established premium districts or areas that show strong potential to transition into luxury markets, a pool acts as a foundational feature. When it comes time to renovate or undertake an extensive cosmetic upgrade, the presence of a pool makes it significantly easier to design and market the property as a luxury home. For the luxury segment, a high-quality pool is often expected and often required. When it's present, it dramatically boosts the property's potential for increased valuation and greater capital growth, particularly when compared to a similar property without the feature. This is the essence of the core thesis. The pool makes a good house truly valuable. Segment 3. The investor's filter: where and when to buy a pool property. We have established that the pool is a double-edged sword. The defining factor in whether that sword cuts through competition or cuts your cash flow is location and target demographic. You simply cannot make a generalized statement about whether a pool is good for investment. It is entirely dependent on where you buy and who you plan to rent to. To succeed, you must act as a precise sniper, not a shotgun investor. You need to define your market with surgical precision. The two contrasting markets. We must clearly differentiate between two types of rental markets. 1. The high-speed, middle-class hustle zone. In certain areas, perhaps typical middle-class suburbs or dense urban fringe areas characterized by a fast-paced, work-centric lifestyle, the pool is a detrimental feature. The target tenants in these areas are often focused on maximizing their working hours, minimizing expenses, and prioritizing speed and efficiency. They may simply not have the time or the desire to engage in leisure swimming. For this demographic, the pool is perceived purely as a drain. It's expensive, requires maintenance, and introduces liability. In this market, a pool can actively detract from your property's appeal. These tenants are often unwilling to pay the required rental premium for the amenity. In fact, they may demand a lower rent because they are aware they will incur additional costs, utilities, maintenance, due to the pool's existence. If your investment strategy is aimed at this specific demographic, the sources advise, avoid the pool at all costs. 2. The lifestyle haven and the affluent enclave. Conversely, the pool is an asset in markets defined by leisure, affluence, or long-term family residency. A. Lifestyle districts * areas specifically known for their quality of life, coastal towns, resort communities, or amenity-rich suburbs, often view the pool as a standard amenity or even a necessary component of the desired lifestyle. In these locations, a house without a pool might be seen as lacking or undesirable. B. The upscale or luxury market, medium to high net worth * when targeting middle to high income earners. The pool is often a non-negotiable expectation. These renters are willing to pay the significant premium for convenience and luxury. C. The long-term family market * as discussed previously. Properties located near high-quality schools and intended for families seeking long-term stability are ideal candidates for a pool. The pool here is not a luxury item. It is a tool for family retention and enjoyment. If your defined customer base falls into one of these 3 categories, the pool is not just appropriate. It is a powerful strategic advantage. The financial reality check, quantifying the cost threshold. Let's address the fear of costs head-on with a reality check supported by data. Investors often overestimate the actual financial burden placed upon the landlord by the pool. Based on insights gathered from experienced rental property managers, the actual additional monthly cost for the landlord, covering essential maintenance not passed to the tenant, usually ranges between tens of dollars to about $100. Similarly, the additional monthly utility operational cost for the tenant is also relatively small, usually just a few tens of dollars. Over the course of a year, the total added expenditure for both parties combined is typically just over $1,000. This precise number is crucial for your investment analysis. If you can confidently generate more than $1,000 per year in additional rent due to the pool's presence, then the pool has justified its existence financially. The cost is neutralized, and any extra rent becomes pure profit. Furthermore, the portion of cost the landlord does bear is offset through tax deductions and the higher overall rent. For the tenant, if that extra $1,000 per year significantly enhances their family's lifestyle, they will easily justify the expense as a critical part of their housing budget. Therefore, the investment decision boils down to this. Can the pool premium exceed the $1,000 annual threshold in your chosen area? If the answer is yes, you proceed with caution and confidence. Conclusion. The art of selection. We began with a dilemma and landed on a clear principle. Swimming pools are neither inherently good nor bad for investment. They are simply tools that must be carefully chosen and strategically placed. The pool's main function, especially in long-term investing, is not cash flow generation on its own, but acting as a catalyst for additional capital appreciation and securing high-quality, long-term tenants. To successfully invest in a property with a pool, you must exercise extreme diligence. You're not just buying 4 walls and a roof. You are buying a specific lifestyle offering for a defined demographic. If you buy a pool in a location where it is coveted, a place where life is savored, not just survived, it will become a powerful force multiplier for your investment return. But if you purchase a pool in a market that views it as an expensive inconvenience, a place focused purely on the daily grind, it will sit there, sucking money and repelling quality renters. Remember, the pool is not the investment. The area and the demographic are the investment. The pool is merely the accessory that, when selected correctly, helps the right investment house achieve its true, maximum potential. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share. We'll be back in next video.